Welcome! In this video we will cover the creation of a static linked library, SSL, from code we created in previous videos for the PowerBASIC Console Compiler, and we will link this library into our Generate Data application. In the application we have been looking at to generate user data, there has been a main code file and a couple of include files containing functions we wish to access within the application. When the application is compiled, the include files are scanned for any functions or subroutines that are referenced in the main code file, and these reference routines are compiled into the application. Any functions or subroutines within the include files that are not referenced are not included in the application, and therefore the application contains no unnecessary code, keeping it small. Therefore your include file can be quite generic and contain many more functions than are needed in your current application, safe in the knowledge that only those that are referenced will be compiled into the application. What we are going to do today is to take one of the include files and turn it into a static linked library, which is then compiled into an SLL file, which can be linked into the main code file when you compile. As SLLs are in effect pre-compiled code, all the functions and subroutines are included in your compiled application, even if they are not referenced in the main code file. At compile time, the main code file plus the included files and any linked SLLs are compiled together to produce your application. The advantage of SLLs is that the pre-compiled file can be given to other developers to use without them having access to the source code within it. As such, you will need to provide some documentation of the SLL functions and subroutines that are available for use to allow other developers to access those embedded routines easily. This is our Generate Data application. What we're going to do is to take one of the include files, this one here that does the random routines, and rather than have it as an include file, we're going to create a static linked library. So how do we do that? Well, if we look at the toolbar at the top where we can create new files, one of the options is to create a PowerBASIC SSL. If we click on that, it gives us two lines of code at the top. The compile directive to tell the compiler that we want to create a static linked library, and the usual dimension all. So what we want to do is we want to take all the code in one of our include files, which is this random routines file. We're just going to copy all of that code and we're going to paste it in here. Now there are some changes we'll have to make to this file, but let's save it first. What we're going to call it is the same name, but we're just going to tag SSL at the end just for convenience. And we're going to save that file to file save as, and we'll save that file there. Now we'll give it a .bas file because we are actually going to compile this. So there's our file. Now what's different between this and everything else? If we tried to compile this now, it wouldn't actually work properly. There are a number of functions within this file. There's a build array function, the get array value, the get telephone, and the street number functions. Now each of these functions you want to be able to access from inside your main code file. Now what we have to do to get this to work is to use the export command. This allows the function to be visible inside your main code. So we go down each of the functions in turn and we put the export in. If we didn't put the export in, the function would only be operational inside the static linked library. Now I think that has got a lot. Have I got them all? Export, export, export. Ah, we missed one. Right, that's each of our functions done. So if we try to compile that now, let's just save it first and try and compile, it's going to give us an error. Now the reason it's giving us an error is that this line of code is an undefined equate. Because this is pre-compiled, the two constants we're using, the true and false, must be defined inside the library itself. So we'll just define them in here. And then compile again. Now, it's also complaining that this function here is not visible to the static link library. The reason that's not visible is because the set progress text doesn't exist inside the library. It exists inside our main routine here. So what we can do is we will remove the function from here and we'll move it into the library. And we will mark it as exportable. And then we'll try compiling again. And there we go, we have a successful compile and creation of an SLL file. So if we look back at our code base, there is our pre-compiled library. Only 4K in size, but quite compact. So how do we include that back into our generate data? Now if we go back up to the top where the includes are, the static link library is to replace this include file. So if we comment this out to say that we don't actually need that anymore, so for the main code file we need to link in our included library. So we use the link command and we want to give it the name of the library we want to bring in, which is the SLL file. Now if we have a look at the link command in the help file, which is always useful, this is the main meta statement that brings in a pre-compiled static link library into your program. So all we have to do really is just reference it. Now there is another power library unit you can actually use, but we'll cover them in a later video. So if we try and compile that now in our main code, remember we've commented out the original include file. There we go, it has compiled. And if we have a look at our code, there's our generate data. Still 65K in size. But from the source code point of view, this random routines is no longer in there. We have included in and linked the static link library. Now, we would have to, as I said, publish the content of the library so that anybody wanting to actually use that particular static link library actually knew which functions were available inside the library, which ones were exported, and what parameters they had. Otherwise, they would have no way of actually knowing. Because we have some functions inside this library which are exported, you can, if you wish, have functions which are entirely internal to the static link library which are not exported. For example, if you created a new function in here that did something that one of these exported functions actually called, you could still use it quite happily. So that completes our look at static link libraries. Thank you for watching.